Gaza's hospitals are overflowing with the wounded, the living, and the dead. Doctors and paramedics are at breaking point.
الناس راحت أشلاء. إيش أحكي لك؟ إيش أحكي لما أحكي المناظر اللي شفناها لا يرثى لها.
But they say they can't stop working.
حنرجع على رأس عملنا برغم اللي صار.
On the 17th of October, a blast ripped through the grounds of Al-Ahli Hospital in Gaza City, killing hundreds of people.
I was in the operating room when the missile struck and the false ceiling of the operating room fell on us.
Patients were moved to Al-Shifa Hospital, where a doctor says they received 400 wounded in just 24 hours.
And we're short of everything. I've had to use vinegar to treat this wound infection.
Almost 3 weeks into Israel's total blockade, Palestinian health officials say the health system is completely out of service. This is what hospitals on the brink of collapse look like in Gaza.
خلص يعني ما بقدر اتحمل نفسي لانه المناظر اللي انا شفتها كل شوي بتتمها في راس الواحد ما صعب انك تنساها نهائيا.
Brahim Haidar Sakalla was one of the paramedics working around the clock when a blast struck Al-Ahli Hospital on October 17th.
أنا جنب الإسعاف طرت وخبطت في الإسعاف وقعت على الأرض كمان ما بعرف إيش اللي جرالي اللي جنبي لقيتهم شهداء.
Palestinian officials accuse Israel of bombing Al-Ahli Hospital. Israel has denied responsibility for the attack and instead blames a misfired Palestinian rocket. Some investigations have cast doubt on the evidence cited by Israel.
كلها كانوا قاعدين أطفال وشبابها كلها مستشفى.
Just a day before the bombing, a video captured at Al-Ahli Hospital shows children playing and chanting. The hospital had initiatives to help children cope with trauma from the ongoing war.
وعلى المراجيح وبيعملوا فتحوا لهم على أساس إنه يرفعوا عليهم شوية، لكن صار اللي صار. ما عرفنا مين عايش مين طيب مين ميت.
Almost 3 weeks into the bombardment, over 7,000 people have been killed, including 3,000 children. The number of wounded is now over 17,000 and continues to rise.
جايين بأمان الله إن هالمستشفى آمنة وأمن من بيته، شردوا من بيوتهم صارت المجزرة عندنا في قلب المستشفى.
Under international humanitarian law, it is illegal to target hospitals or civilian facilities. Thousands of Palestinians displaced from their homes had no choice but to shelter in Al-Ahli Hospital.
في نص المجمع نص الساحة بين كل الناس اللي موجودة كان عندنا ما يقارب فوق 3000 نازح في قلب المستشفى عندنا.
Families at the hospital hoped they would be safe there.
ضرب توقع عندنا 32 شهيد بس من عائلة واحدة. 32 شهيد من عائلة قوطة هذول لحالهم وغيرهم.
Israel has a history of targeting healthcare facilities and medical personnel. The World Health Organization has documented at least 171 attacks on healthcare services in the occupied Palestinian territory since October 7th. In 2014, Israel attacked multiple hospitals, including Beit Hanun Hospital, Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, and the European Gaza Hospital, killing and wounding patients and medical professionals. Israel has not allowed humanitarian observers into Gaza to conduct investigations into the attacks.
Around 5:30, I realized that I needed to operate into the night and I wasn't going to travel at night because it was going to be dark, and I stayed behind, and that's when it happened.
Ghassan Abu Sitta is a British Palestinian doctor. When Israel began bombing Gaza, he left his family in the UK to volunteer there as a surgeon.
On Saturday night, I realized that this war was going to be very vicious. Monday morning, I was in Gaza through the Rafah crossing. I've been to all of Gaza's wars, and I've been to other wars in Yemen and Iraq and Syria, so I have almost a 30-year experience in doing these kinds of missions.
Dr. Abu Sitta was in the middle of his surgery when the missile struck at Al-Ahli Hospital. He says the hospital was already far beyond capacity before the explosion.
It was absolute mayhem. There were bodies everywhere. The emergency department was full of dead and dying. There were people who had amputations. And then I went to another guy who'd had a shrapnel in his neck, and I had pressure on his neck while we were resuscitating him, and that's the patient I brought to Shifa Hospital.
Many patients who survived the bombing at Al-Ahli were transferred to Al-Shifa Hospital, which is Gaza's largest public hospital. But like all healthcare facilities in Gaza, it's on the brink of collapse.
We're short of everything. We're short on supplies, we're short on medication. You've seen I've had to use vinegar to treat this wound infection. The fact that this wound infection happened is partly because of the delay in taking this patient to the operating room.
Israel has imposed an air, land, and sea blockade on the Gaza Strip for 16 years. But on October 9th, Israel implemented a total siege, cutting off all access to water, food, electricity, and medical supplies.
Every morning we go to the storage facility and try to get what we need, but by the end of the day we're running out of everything.
At least 58 health facilities have stopped operating in Gaza. And some doctors are forced to use flashlights on their cell phones to operate.
The lack of electricity and the shortage of petrol means that we are completely dependent on the generator, which in turn is dependent on the petrol. Some of my colleagues have not been able to go back and see their families because their cars have run out, because all of the petrol is now being rationed for the ambulance. If the diesel runs out for the generator, then the hospital will stop.
Doctors are forced to treat patients in corridors and on the streets due to a lack of hospital beds.
Gaza's total bed capacity was 2,500 before the war.
Doctors like Abu Sitta continue to provide care while bombs fall around them.
For me, Gaza is a special place because it's a Palestinian and it's someone whose family became refugees in Gaza. This is where home is.
Israel ordered more than 1 million Palestinians to evacuate from the northern part of the Gaza Strip, where Al-Ahli Hospital and Al-Shifa Hospital are located. The World Health Organization has condemned the evacuation orders of hospitals, calling them a death sentence. But even those who are fleeing south are getting bombed. AJ Plus went to Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza.
كل حياتنا معرضة للخطر. لا في مستشفى لا في مدارس، هيم قاعدين يقصفوا المدارس وقصفوا المستشفيات. وين ما نروح بدهم يقصفوا. واللي بيصير فينا هذا مش حرب، هذه إبادة.
Despite following Israeli orders to flee south, neighborhoods in southern Gaza have also been reduced to rubble. Gaza's health ministry says Israel killed more than 700 people on October 23rd alone, most of them in the south.
أنا جيت من غزة يعني انقصفت دارنا وما لقيتش ملجأ يعني فإجيت عند أهلي هنا على المستشفى. الأوضاع كانت كتير صعبة يعني بالذات على الأطفال يعني أنا خفت على ابني أكتر إشي علشان هيك يعني لجأت للمستشفى.
Hospitals are so overwhelmed that they have to prioritize the most critically wounded patients. This Palestinian man is only 19 years old.
وأنا كمصاب أنا بدي رعاية. طلع أنت شايف بلاتين عظم متفتفت فيش لا رعاية ولا شيء. لما الحمد لله المية لما نروح نشرب مية بدنا نصف دور، لما نروح على الحمام بدنا نصف دور، لما نروح نشتري خبز بدنا نصف دور، كل إشي دور. خبز أصلاً بطل يبيع خبز.
As dead bodies and wounded people continue to overwhelm Gaza's hospitals, Palestinians say a ceasefire is needed urgently.
بدنا الأمان وبدنا يعني نستقر وبدنا نرجع لبيوتنا يعني أنا بيتي انهدم مش عارفة بعد ما تخلص الحرب بدنا نروح إحنا يعني.
صرت لنا ما تطلعونا بعين الرحمة، وقتيش بدك تطلعونا بعين الرحمة لما نموت؟ بكفي.